Hey there, welcome to Mini Pod, no fluff, just good stuff in under 5 minutes. Badger is our outside cat, or what some would call a barn cat or a mouser. We got her originally when we lived out in the country, and you get a mouser to kill mice. The truth is, I've never known Badger to kill a mouse, or at least not kill one and leave it for me as a present. There have been a couple times, though, where Badger has left me some birds, and twice she left me moles. God, moles are one weird looking animal. In fact, to be totally honest with you, they creep me out. I also don't want to appreciate really what they do to my lawn. There was not too long ago, there was one or two, I don't know how many. They were just destroying my lawn and our garden. Every morning we would wake up to two or three beautiful little molehills. It's kind of like, thank you very much. You know that old saying, don't make a mountain out of a molehill. There's a lot of wisdom there that applies to leading a church. But just as important as it is to not make a mountain out of a molehill, it's equally important not to make a molehill out of a mountain. What about mountain out of a molehill? We do this when we make something a bigger problem than it really is. Pastoring eventually leads to paranoia. We can be constantly worrying about the other shoe dropping or something blowing up in our face resulting in division or an exodus or some other unpleasant thing happening in our church. We can overreact and jump in to put out a fire when all that's really there is smoke. Is there anything that you might be overreacting to right now? But what about a molehill out of a mountain? We do this whenever we minimize something that really should be taken more seriously. Some worry too much and others worry too little. For example, and I can't believe how often this happens, a pastor tells me about some belligerent church member or board member who's constantly talking behind their back and purposefully sabotaging every attempt of the pastor to lead the church. And then the pastor I'm talking to will quickly qualify and say something like, well, now don't get me wrong, Bill's a really good guy, it's just that. And I typically respond, interrupting and say, well, Bill doesn't sound like a good guy to me. He sounds like a slanderer who has a problem with submitting to spiritual authority. As long as you try to convince yourself that Bill is a good guy, you won't deal with him like he needs to be dealt with. This is only one example. I could come up with more. Is there anything that you might be minimizing? Sometimes it just takes experience to know whether something is a molehill or a mountain. Hopefully you have some wise leaders in your church, or you know someone whose wisdom you value, who you could ask, is this a mountain or a molehill? Never underestimate your ability to confuse a mountain for a molehill, or a molehill for a mountain. This is Dave Jacobs of Small Church Pastor. Have a great week.